Hello, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to explore what would happen if civilization started over again, but on a different planet. And this is the world right now, so I hope you enjoy it, and let's begin. So, civilization is going to start over in this archipelago, on this little island. It is going to start here at the tip of this island, and it is going to progress all the way up to here. Their capital is going to be established on the same tip, and they're going to start expanding into the island. Eventually, they fully take over the island, and they have no more land to expand, so they turn to the oceans. Well, at least in the near year or so months. See, there are some fishermen who have found a new island, and it's this island over here. So a logical step would be to explore this island, which the Orange Nation does successfully. They eventually establish a little colony over here, which over time expands and becomes about half of the island. The colony even gets a permanent population as well, which eventually leads to the colony breaking away from the Orange team, forming the Cyan team. This does not go well with the Orange team, which essentially wages the first war in this world. They first land in the little port that was here, making so that exports of food are no longer viable for the Blue Nation, which essentially makes them go under the Orange control again. It's a sad day for the Cyan team. However, this will be remembered. Eventually, the whole island is then captured and colonized by the Orange team. However, the public sentiment on the island is not forgotten, and the island is going to try to rebel again from the Orange team. Now, because the Blue Nation has much more people and much more land to work with than the previous time they tried to rebel off, they could stop importing food from the Orange Nation, which essentially makes their time of rebelling much more easier compared to last time. And because of this, they actually successfully rebel away from the Orange team. However, the Orange Nation never truly cared about the Blue Kingdom. Instead, they cared about something else. And that something else was their newest discovery of the island nearby them, which they're gonna colonize now. And they do that successfully, which was this island. They even find an important city there as well. Meanwhile, the Blue team was exploring the ocean, and because they have a little bit of a technological edge on the Orange team, they have managed to find two new islands, one small one and one big one. They have colonized the small one fully, and they just set a little colony on the second one. However, the people in the Blue team were not so fond of the Blue team subsequently exploring and colonizing this island, so they were protesting. And eventually the Blue team came to a conclusion that they should stop colonizing for now. And because of that, they even decolonized some areas on this island. Meanwhile, in the Orange team, in the south of the big Orange Island, the southern city was not getting so much support from the northern city, aka the capital of the Orange team, which led to some public sentiments about the Orange team which were not so good. For example, the Orange team has abandoned us and we should make a new country. So, the Purple Nation was born. The Orange team didn't like that, so they instantly had a war with them. However, the Orange team was losing the war, as most of the South was in favor of the Purple team. Eventually, they settled on these borders between the Orange and the Purple team, which made the Purple team officially now a new country. While that was happening, the Purple team, just in case, has colonized this little small island if they would be defeated by the Orange team, so that they have a small yet valuable stronghold to retaliate to the Orange team. With that being said, the Orange team has finally discovered the mainland of this continent, where they have settled in a little colony in the north. This spot was chosen as it was a great natural harbor for a city to be placed in, and eventually because of it, most of the north of that region was colonized by the Orange Team. Looking at the world now, it seems pretty full. Well, at least this area, compared to the whole world here. You can barely see it as it's just like a speck. But yeah, the Orange Team does that, and they even find two cities on the mainland, which was here. And eventually they even find the river that separates the mainland and this little section here, which they make their borders for now. Little did they know that for now, this area would start to revolt yet another time. Why? It is a little bit too isolated, at least from the Orange capital. This rebellion would start in the city over here, where it would be a great natural harbor. However, because there were so many ships, the Orange Team would not let this slide, and they would quickly be defeated. However, there was a treaty that allowed this specific area where the rebels were to have greater autonomy compared to different sections in order to pacify the populace and to stop them from rebelling ever again. This did work for some time, but it didn't work for a long time. In return, that gave time for the Orange Team to prepare for a full-scale rebellion in this area. Given that they did have prior practices of rebellions being here, it would make sense why they would prepare for this to be a rebellion in its own. So yeah, poor Orange Team, they're just getting absolutely rebelled against. It's surprising how this island didn't rebel for them. Meanwhile, after some time, in the Blue Team, the public sentiment of not colonizing has finally worn off, and because of it, the Blue Team can finally colonize more of the big island, which they successfully do. However, there'd be some complications with colonization, as most of the area that they would colonize would be a savanna region. However, in the south they would colonize much more easily, as the climate there was much more suitable for the Blue Nation, and plus the biome was a savanna. And afterwards they just colonized around the island itself, and they even find a really good and suitable place for a city, which is also a natural port on its own. Meanwhile, in the Purple Team has explored a little bit more of the ocean, and they have found two new islands. It's this island and this island. The first island was smaller than the second island. That is what the Purple Team has deduced. And so they have set up some colonies on both of these islands. Eventually, after some time has passed by, the Purple Team has colonized the small island and has acquired roughly half of the big island. I'm not sure if it's half, but looks like it at least. And they've even made some big cities here, or important cities. First one was here, and the second one was here. Now, going back to the Blue Team, there was a conflict between the Purple Team and the Blue Team over this small island, which, because of it, both parties have gone to war over. The Purple Team has managed to secure the small island, and even managed to navally invade Blue's capital city. This essentially crippled the Blue Team, and they sued for peace. And with that, the Blue Team was kicked to this big island, which the Purple Team didn't know existed. That's why they accepted the peace deal. If they would know that, then they would just go to this island and fully capture it, as the Blue Team was not in the best shape of retaliating to the Purple Team, which essentially sparked the transformation of the Blue Team into the Teal Team. And so the Blue Team has been transformed into the Team Teal. Yeah, thinking about it, I should probably use the fill tool. This is gonna take a long time. Okay, never mind. The capital was placed down, and it was in this really defendable region of the island. Natural harbor as well, and essentially they were set. With that turn of events, the teal team would quickly start colonizing the island more and even going into mountain areas of the island. They have now only the mountain regions on their island, which would probably make them really powerful compared to the other nations. Actually, no, they'd be the weakest as they only have 3 cities. However, they do have an army comparable to the orange teams, which is bigger than the purple teams. So they could theoretically right now invade the purple team and then kill them. Speaking of that, the teal team is going to invade the purple team. The purple team doesn't even know that they exist, but yeah. They first captured the godforsaken island, which the blue team died for, and then they captured the blue team's actual island. The purple team is like, what the hell just happened? And they just send reinforcements there. However, they are quickly destroyed with a landing here, which turns out horrible for them. However, they do capture back that island, the small one. In the end, the teal team and the purple team come to a compromise where the teal team is going to retake back the former blue capital island, while the purple team is going to retain this small island. Moving back to orange, they are colonizing more and more land, following the rivers and just colonizing more land. They could do that because they have such a big army to their disposal. In the end, they colonize about roughly this much area, making the new boundary in the south this river. And they just follow the river all the way to here. This is what they've colonized so far. Meanwhile, while the Orange Nation was expanding, some sailors from the aforementioned Orange team have sailed to this peninsula where they would officially establish, wrong layer, where they would officially establish the Blue Nation. Now this was some time ago, and because of that, they have expanded to around this much, and they've been finally heard by the Orange Nation and essentially the rest of the world, as the Orange Nation shared this information with everybody. And this was the blue team that was discovered by the orange team. And the first instinct of the orange team was to, you guessed it, declare war on the blue team. No diplomatic solutions were found rather than declare war. But there actually was one, just leave them alone existing. So the war was really quick, as the blue nation was mostly a sailor nation, so they just focused on getting food and surviving. And because of that, their key cities were pretty easily to besiege and destroy, as they had no proper military. And this led to the creation of the vassal state in the north, where all of the key cities were not located. So all of the key regions, yeah, they were under actual orange occupation for some time. What I mean by some time, I mean by like 2 years. And essentially most of the land occupied from the blue team, now vassal of the orange team, was given back. When one city was given back, but the capital was not. And including the city as well, as there are pretty good natural harbors. Yeah, this region has a lot of natural harbors, I just realized. But still, and because of that many natural harbors existing in this region, that meant that trade was pretty easy and mostly done by boat. Which meant that these cities in the orange team were not getting that much trade. However, they didn't do anything and just expanded for now, as to get more military power and support from the orange team. Eventually, they expanded up to roughly to this much before they have decided to proclaim their proclaim their independence from the orange team. While that was also happening, there was a new city formed here, nearby the river, as it was kind of easy to trade, and these rebellions happened in those 2 aforementioned cities, and even spread to the 3rd one. So they started off here and here, but eventually, by the river, the ideas have spread to this one, and this one was more than keen to rebel, and because of that, they actually managed to somewhat dominate the region, because they're the only key cities here. Because of that, more and more people started to join this rebellion. This led to the orange team taking actions against these rebels. It was smooth, but not the best action which they could have taken, aka their army weren't ready enough to deal with this rebellion. Another rebellion happened for the same reasons inside of the orange team, and yes, you guessed it, it was this autonomous region here rebelling yet another time. They didn't forget how they were mercilessly suppressed under the Orange rule, so they rebelled in favor of the Green Rebellion. They quickly managed to take out this region of the Orange team and have started to move further downstream into this key city. Because of that, the Orange team had to essentially mostly evacuate this region as to not get encircled by the rebels. And because of that, they created a somewhat solid front line, even taking out this key city. Now, with the rebels being somewhat in a worse position than the Orange team, they could mostly repel them. And this was the front line until the Blue Nation rebelled away from the Orange team and secured their place again. Now they didn't do much about that. However, this gave a huge morale boost to the rebels, and because of that, they've decided to push forward, and they even gained some land in the strategic place between the river. This was very important, as this was where most of the Orange team's industrial capabilities, whatever they even had at that time, were located. And because of that, they have managed to fully push the Orange team out of here, near the gates of this city. This was another very important city. Because of that, the Orange Nation said, okay, we are going to make a compromise, and the rebels said, okay. In the end, both the Orange and Green team have agreed to a compromise of this. The Orange team would gain back some, not all, but some of their very important industrial regions near the river. In return, they would give the Green rebels more territory in the east. In return, the Green rebels would gain land in their east, while the city here that essentially rebelled away from the Orange team would become a sort of condominium between the Orange and the Green team. The final event that will be occurring in this video is going to be the expansion of the Blue team. The Blue team, after gaining their independence from the Orange team, would seek to expand furthermore into this peninsula. They would start off by first exploring it around to this. They would explore it this much, something like that, and they would colonize these regions over here, even linking up with the Green team. They would also set up new cities in the north of the nation, which was here, and even one over here. Now, this is the world as it is right now, so yep. Now, this is the end of this episode. If you guys really like it, you could support me with a like, you could subscribe to this channel, and yeah, thank you for watching this far. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I'll peace out now. Goodbye.